Basic knowledge for game development. Video games can be broadly split into two main types, and one of them is indie games, and the other is AAA games. AAA games normally have a larger budget, and indie games are normally made by smaller studios. Um, Indie games, by definition, means that games created by individuals or small teams who operate independently from major studios both financially and creatively. And they're often a breath of fresh air for the game industry as they bring unique designs, visuals, story, and mechanics, and they break the sometimes repeating patterns of AAA games. So, some examples of indie games include Hollow Knight, Undertale, Hades, Celeste, Five Nights at Freddy's, and etc. With Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy's being once indie games, then they obviously grew bigger. And here's what you learn from making a game. First of all, the importance of deadline and appreciation of hard work, the value of creative expression, frustration of learning, and stepping out of your comfort zone, getting used to self learning, as you will be doing that a lot in university, as I've heard, and debugging and searching, and consultation to forums. This can also be a group project if your friends are also interested in, and there had been a study in 2015 about kids, students making a game. And here are some aspects of of games that I can come up off of the top of my head, and we are going to be focusing on art and programming, especially. Significance of this project. Obviously, it's a fun challenge, and it is also a great addition to your resume. And by the way, most successful game developers start off by self-learning and practice. So, game engines. What are game engines? They are the basic software of a basic software of a computer game or a video game. So, it is a very good tool if you want to create an actual game. Hence, if you want to create a game, hence the name, obviously, game engine. And an example of game engine would be Scratch. So many of you might have played with it in elementary school. And two main engines that are public and very popular are Unreal Engine and Unity. There's also other options that, such as like Pygame and Godot, but I didn't investigate them. So here's an example of Scratch, which uses block codes, Unity Engine, Unreal Engine, and here's a comparison between Unreal and Unity. So Unreal is more 3D game and more dynamic lighting stuff. It's more professional and it uses C++. Unity is better for 2D games and it's more beginner friendly and it uses C Sharp. Now, what are C Sharp and what is C++? So they are all types of programming languages, and programming languages are a set of instructions or syntaxes used to create software programs. So key features include syntax, the specific rules and structures, or the grammar, data types like numbers, strings, so like the type of values that can be stored inside a program, variables, which you don't really, it is necessary, but this explanation isn't really good. I can't really think of one, but yeah, I guess named memory locations. It's just like math kind of variables. Or when you're doing a science lab, variables, independent variables, dependent variables, something like that, where it's like you can change it and it's stored within a name, yeah. And operators, which are like math and logical operators. I don't know if I'll get to talk about them, but they're, yeah, control structures, if else statements, loops, and functions. And examples of programming languages include Java, Python, C++, C Sharp. So games made with Unreal Engine include Fortnite, Black Myth Wukong, Palworld, Valorant, now those like more 3D kind of games. Games made with Unity include Hollow Knight, Fall Guys, Cuphead, Rust, and the Ori series. So there's also unavailable game engines, including Ubisoft Anvil from Ubisoft and From Software's Dandelion engine, which they are not released to the public. Game engine selection, I chose Unity because I wanted to make a 2D game, and most indie games are made with Unity. Programming, I'm just going to skim through a little bit of it because we don't have much time, and an introduction for C#, all you have to know is that it isn't really 100% necessary for game development. At least the C# isn't, but programming knowledge is still it's important to understand them, to say the least. And most programming languages are very similar in structure and logics. So if you go back to Scratch, you'll find a very stunning similarity between the block codes and the text codes, which I don't really know the official names for them, but they operate the same logic and structure. And I think Python, Java, C#, and C++, from what I can tell, because I've learned a bit of them, they are all kind of similar, except for grammar or the syntax. And let's skip to variable types. So booleans, they are binary, and their values can either be true or false. Integers are exactly what they sound like, integers. Doubles, they are decimal numbers. Strings, they are word, sentences, characters that must be within these quotes. To initiate a variable, you have to follow a set of instructions, so like this kind of format. So the type of the variable, the name of the variable, and the value of the variable. And I won't go into detail, but it's just better to name the name of the variable something more descriptive. It's just a convention, you don't have to follow it, but when you come back to a project after a couple days or a couple weeks or months, if you name something like integer a, you don't really get what it's talking about. Math is just pretty much like what you learn about in math class, addition, subtraction. One thing to note here is that you can call a variable inside of a inside like these declarations. So it's So integer a equals to 2, so a is 2, and integer sum equals to a plus 1. So sum would be a plus 1, which is 2 plus 1, which is 3. And logical condition, let's skip through to the pixel art part. And the two kind of apps that I recommend for pixel art are that of Adobe Photoshop and LibreSprite. LibreSprite is free, and it's very good for pixel art, but not as good for other more professional or like line art, something like that. Adobe Photoshop is obviously very professional and very expensive, and it offers a wide variety of tools. Useful tips, I'm going to skip them because you wouldn't really understand them after you try and make your own pixel art. So I'm just going to go to methods to create pixel art. So the silhouette method is a method where you use one color to create like an outline of what your vision of the character is, and then you can tweak them a little bit. It works best if you know what you're trying to draw. And method 2 is just putting stuff onto the board, I guess. And you basically use different neon colors to represent different parts of a character, and it makes it easier to edit and differentiate if you want to change, and it works the best when you don't really know what you're trying to do. Method 3 is something I've only created for myself. It's like for human bodies, because when you're drawing anatomies, it's very easy to mess up and make your characters look disproportional. That's why I've come up with the skeleton format, where you draw a human skeleton and kind of imagine the skeletons doing different poses, and then drawing the clothes and muscles on top, which makes it a lot easier and a lot more natural. Yeah. And here's an iteration of drawings. So here I chose to use the silhouette method, where I had a vision, and then I shortened it down, and I tilted it sideways a bit. I'm going to skip a couple of videos because they caused this PowerPoint to break. I don't know why. And here is the main character of the game that I've created. Here are also some other pixel art that I've made, for practice. And here is the silhouette, or the skybox. And we don't really get time to talk about Unity, but if we skip over to here, here are some videos that you might find to be worth a watch if you're trying to do this project. And you can always message me on Discord or Teams if you want this PowerPoint. And by the way, this game project is actually the final project for grade 11 computers. I didn't know that, but I made it, and it was really, and this is like a scuffed version of what the final project would be. So thanks for watching.